Ever heard of a creature that can vanish into thin air, or a village that disappeared overnight? These aren't just stories. These are chilling folklore mysteries that still puzzle experts to this day. Stick with me as we explore a legendary tale that have never been fully explained. Shrouded in an ethereal mist lies the haunting silhouette of Poveglia Island. This unassuming sliver of land holds a dark and troubled past, whispered in hushed tones by Venetian locals. They speak of restless spirits driven to madness by centuries of suffering. The island stands as a stark reminder of the impermanence of life and the haunting echoes of our actions. Few dare set foot on its cursed grounds. Those who do return with chilling tales of cold whispers carried on the wind and spectral figures glimpsed through crumbling archways. Is Poveglia truly cursed, as the legends claim? The island's history is steeped in tragedy, from its days as a quarantine station for plague victims to its time as an asylum for the mentally ill. Each layer of its past adds to the eerie atmosphere that envelops it today. The decaying buildings and overgrown vegetation seem to whisper secrets of the tormented souls that once inhabited this forsaken place. Or are its horrors merely the product of an overactive imagination, feeding off the island's tragic history? The line between reality and legend blurs on Poveglia, leaving us to wonder if the island's dark reputation is deserved or simply a ghost story that has grown with time. As the mist rolls in and the shadows lengthen, one thing is certain: Poveglia Island remains a place of mystery and fear, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown. Poveglia's story begins long before its descent into darkness. In the 5th century AD, it served as a refuge for mainlanders fleeing barbarian invasions. Families sought safety within its shores, hoping to escape the chaos and bloodshed that gripped the mainland. For a time, Poveglia provided sanctuary, a beacon of hope amidst the encroaching darkness. But this tranquility would not last. As the centuries passed, a new threat emerged: plague. The Black Death, a merciless killer, swept across Europe, leaving countless dead in its wake. Poveglia, once a symbol of refuge, transformed into a nightmarish quarantine zone, a last resort for the afflicted. With the arrival of the Black Death in the 14th century, Poveglia's fate took a sinister turn. This small island, once a peaceful retreat, became synonymous with death and despair. The island was designated as a quarantine zone, a desperate attempt to contain the plague's relentless advance. Authorities, in their fear and desperation, saw no other option but to isolate the infected from the healthy population. Ships bearing the sick, their bodies ravaged by the disease, were directed to the island's shores. These vessels, once symbols of trade and exploration, now carried only suffering and death. Families were torn apart, loved ones ripped from their homes and cast adrift, left to die amongst strangers. The cries of the separated echoed across the waters, a haunting symphony of sorrow and loss. The island's once tranquil lagoons, once teeming with life, became a watery graveyard. The waters, which had once reflected the sky's azure beauty, now mirrored the darkness of human suffering. Bodies, their skin blackened and blistered, were burned in massive pyres, or tossed unceremoniously into mass graves that scarred the island's landscape. The relentless fires and the hastily dug graves were a testament to the sheer scale of the tragedy. The air grew thick with the stench of death, a constant reminder of the plague's macabre reign. The once vibrant island was now shrouded in a perpetual fog, a fitting veil for the horrors it concealed. As if the horrors of the Black Death weren't enough, Poveglia Island has a history steeped in tragedy and suffering. This small island, nestled in the Venetian lagoon, has witnessed some of the darkest chapters in human history. Poveglia endured further tragedy in the 18th century. The island, already a place of sorrow, was repurposed to serve a new grim function. The island was repurposed as a mental asylum, a place where society's outcasts were sent away, hidden from the world. The asylum's buildings, now overgrown and decaying, stand as silent witnesses to the suffering that occurred within their walls. A repository for those deemed unfit for society. Isolated from the mainland, the island became a prison for the mentally ill, a place where they were forgotten by the outside world. The asylum's patients were subjected to cruel and inhumane treatment. The conditions were harsh, and the medical practices were often barbaric. Whispers of barbaric medical experiments conducted without any regard for human dignity spread like wildfire. The tools of these experiments, now rusted and covered in dust, tell a story of pain and suffering. Conducted within the asylum's decaying walls, These experiments left scars not only on the bodies but also on the minds of the patients. The stories of these horrors filtered back to the mainland, chilling the hearts of even the most hardened Venetians. The island's dark reputation grew and fear spread through the city, chilling the hearts of even the most hardened Venetians. The tales of suffering and madness were enough to make anyone shudder. Patients, driven mad by their confinement and the horrors they witnessed, became convinced the island itself was cursed. Their minds, already fragile, were further broken by the isolation and terror, became convinced the island itself was cursed. The fog that often enveloped the island added to its eerie atmosphere, making it seem like a place out of a nightmare. Their screams echoed through the empty corridors, a symphony of despair that seeped into the very stones of the asylum. The walls seemed to absorb their pain, holding onto it long after the patients were gone. A symphony of despair that seeped into the very stones of the asylum. The line between reality and delusion blurred, both for the patients and those tasked with their care. The line between reality and delusion blurred, both for the patients and those tasked with their care. The staff, overwhelmed by the sheer weight of the suffering around them, often found themselves questioning their own sanity, both for the patients and those tasked with their care. The island's dark legacy continues to haunt those who hear its story, a chilling reminder of the thin line between sanity and madness. Today, the asylum stands abandoned, its windows like vacant eyes staring out over the lagoon. Visitors to the island speak of an oppressive atmosphere, a palpable sense of dread that clings to the air like cobwebs. Footsteps echo through the crumbling corridors, accompanied by the faint whisper of unseen voices. Some claim to hear the anguished cries of the plague victims, their voices rising from the mass graves that lie scattered across the island. Others report seeing shadowy figures lurking in the asylum's windows, their forms flickering in and out of view like dying embers. One of the most enduring and chilling tales associated with Poveglia is that of the plague doctor. Legend has it that during the Black Death, a lone doctor, driven mad by the horrors he witnessed, began experimenting on patients in a desperate attempt to find a cure. He subjected them to unspeakable tortures, his sanity unraveling with each failed experiment. It is said that the doctor, haunted by the ghosts of those he tormented, eventually went mad himself, leaping from the asylum's bell tower, his screams echoing across the water. Some say his tormented spirit still wanders the island, seeking to claim new victims and continue his gruesome work. The weight of centuries of suffering weighs heavily on Poveglia. The island is officially considered off-limits to visitors, its shores patrolled by the Italian government. But that hasn't stopped thrill-seekers and paranormal investigators from attempting to pierce its veil of mystery. Many return with stories of unsettling experiences, their tales fueling the island's sinister reputation. Whether the stories are true or merely the product of suggestion and overactive imaginations, one thing is certain: Poveglia has been indelibly marked by its past. The island stands as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life and the enduring power of fear. Despite the chilling tales and warnings, there are those who are drawn to Poveglia, seeking answers in its crumbling ruins. Paranormal investigators, armed with cameras and recording equipment, venture onto the island, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural activity that is said to plague the island. Their findings are often inconclusive, a mix of unexplained noises and shadowy figures that could easily be explained away by natural phenomena. But for some, the lack of concrete evidence only deepens the mystery. They argue that Poveglia's true horrors lie beyond the reach of modern technology, hidden within the very fabric of the island itself. Whether Poveglia is truly cursed, a haven for restless spirits, or simply a place forever scarred by its tragic past, its legend continues to fascinate and terrify. The island stands as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most beautiful landscapes. Perhaps the true curse of Poveglia lies not in vengeful spirits or supernatural occurrences, but in the enduring power of our own fears and the weight of history that clings to certain places, forever reminding us of the capacity for both great suffering and enduring resilience that exists within the human spirit. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. What mystery do you want us to explore next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below.